Hello?
Looks like we're live.
I think so. Okay. Dylan confirmed it, so I guess we're live. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another Train Tuesday with Matt, and don't panic, it's only Janek. Is that what's on your birth certificate? Have I not known you very long, I guess?
You know, I kept running out of space to write that many letters. I just shortened it to Janek most of the time.
Okay, all right. Well, first things first, I sort of mentioned to Janek, we're going to give this our best shot today. I have had nothing but ISP issues for the last 10 days, and I've noticed that this has been kind of choppy since Janek and I got in here a little bit before we went live. So hopefully we can last for the whole hour on my internet provider. And we'll just see what happens. If it goes dead, well, I think we'll be back in the comment section for a little bit, but I don't think we'll go back to video after that. So hopefully everything will be good.
I'll try to on your phones, not use up your bandwidth.
All right. Second little bit of housekeeping items. Via and Go Transit. We are still waiting for communication between both agencies. We have not gotten any communication back yet. So I'm still hopeful, but who knows? Any other housekeeping, Janek? I don't think so.
I think that was the main one that people were wondering about.
Okay. Well, then let's sort of dive right into it. What were we going to talk about today? We're going to continue talking about some new announcement items for the July announcements.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, last week we hit the GP38-2s.
Yep. So let's go ahead and talk about F units. So,
all right.
E&B F7s, Great Northern, Big Sky Blue.
Yeah, Matt, this is probably one of my favorite paint schemes of all time, actually. And it's kind of a shame that it was only really being used for 3 years. It was started in '67 by Great Northern, but then the merger was in 1970. So it was Cascade Green after that.
Oh, okay. For the BN. Got it.
For the BN. So this scheme was only technically around for 3 years, although a lot of these escaped being repainted because they had been repainted so recently, and they ran around like this with BN patch numbers for a while. But these particular units, when they were on the Great Northern, they were assigned to ore train service. These were freight units.
Okay. So, well, I guess the difference between the freight and the passenger would have been the steam equipment, huh?
Right. So these don't have steam generators. They do have winterization hatches. The 2 single A units have strobes on the cab, which is a later Great Northern feature.
Okay. Now I just see that on these first 2 road numbers. What about the AB set down here?
The AB set doesn't have a strobe. That one actually never got the strobe. So it wasn't something that made it onto everything. Some units got them and some didn't. So
okay. And
yeah, these are good for late Great Northern, early Burlington Northern. A lot of these units, like I said, just got a BN number on them, and they ran around looking like this for a while.
okay. Now, would these have pulled the rainbow train that you're trying to create?
For Probably not. These were freight service.
Yeah, you're right.
But no, that's okay because we'll get to the units later that I'm interested in for that Amtrak train. So
Okay, all right. Yeah, I clearly was not paying attention to what you said 30 seconds ago. There's no passenger equipment on these units.
that's,
That's okay. I'm with it today, I promise.
just blame the internet. There was a lapse there.
Okay. Yes, it was the internet service's fault. All right. So freight units, 2 with beacons, 1 without, the A/B set. Cool. And then an additional B unit by itself, it looks like.
Yeah, I believe these were in ABA or ABBA sets on the ore trains. So you'll be able to replicate either one of those configurations using what we're offering.
Okay. I like that we've done B units as a separate unit recently, because I know watching some of the old films or seeing some of the old photos, they were never just ABA or ABB sets. They were just totally mixed up, and it's nice to be able to get the B unit separate. So I hope that our customers are taking advantage of that, because that's a really nice option to have.
Yeah, some roads had more B units than A units, so it makes sense to do that.
Sure.
And a lot of times the B units were run with like GP7s or GP9s. They weren't always with an A unit. So.
Good point. What else do we have here? Union Pacific.
So I did a little bit of homework on these. I talked to Dave, who was the researcher on these particular units, and he informed me that, interestingly enough, the F7 was kind of a minority model on the UP.
Yeah.
They had a ton of F3s. They had some GP7s. They had a total big amount of GP9s, but the F7s were sort of a minority player. But that being said, these were mixed in with all different kinds of power, mostly GP9s and other F units. And as you can see, these units have the red and clear oscillating lights up on the top of the nose with the headlights on the door. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of options. Standard single chime horns, dynamic brakes, backup lights. They're pretty much stock units, and they were around on the UP for about 15 years like this.
Right. I was reading, and I need to see if I can find the book that I had it in, but it was pretty interesting the way UP pooled their power, because they were just basically set for certain divisions, and then they turned it and sent it back the other direction, and it was based, I think it was based out of where their service was done. So, certain power is based out of Ogden, certain power is based out of Cheyenne, and then that type of stuff. And I was reading it, going, because I think it was, knowing me, it was probably a turbine book. And so the divisions that the turbines were on, that was obviously between Ogden and Council Bluffs. But then it showed, the diesels for all their other locations. It was very interesting read.
Yeah. UP, they tended to assign certain locomotives to certain kinds of service.
Right.
But as they got more into the 1970s, they realized, hey, that's kind of too complicated. Let's just use SD40-2s for everything.
Right. The second gen workhorse, the SD40-2.
Right.
So
anyway, there's UP F7s.
All right. So just a single A unit and then 2 AB sets. Very nice. And so are these aluminum trucks, or are these Harbor Miss Gray?
These will be aluminum trucks.
Okay.
I believe that change, I'm not going to know the exact date. It was the early 1950s, I want to say, when they started painting the trucks aluminum. So these are after that date. So they have aluminum trucks.
Right. I want to say it was like between 53 and 55, just off the top of my head, because a handful of turbines were delivered with Harbor Mist Gray trucks.
Right.
And then they got repainted to aluminum trucks. So you're right. It was in the 50s there somewhere.
I think the first unit that had the aluminum trucks was a turbine, actually. I remember reading it somewhere.
I believe you're right. Yes.
So.
And I want to say that it was an original turbine, not a veranda. So.
Mm-hmm. Someone in the comments is asking for Penn Central stuff. Well, you'll be happy. Just give us a few minutes here. We're getting there.
All right. Well, let's keep working our way down there then. Burlington Northern hockey stick. So
here's why I'm going broke this month. We have never offered the hockey stick scheme before. It was sort of a short-lived scheme because Burlington Northern realized, hey, that's kind of complicated to paint. Let's just paint them solid green. And the majority of the F units were painted solid green, but there were several that received this hockey stick scheme with the white stripe on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
Now, you said this was the first time that we have produced this. Is this the first time we produced it ever, or just the first time in Genesis?
First time in Genesis. We've done it in the roundhouse model before.
Okay, I kind of thought so, but I just was curious. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. So interestingly, these units, we're offering some of them in 3-digit numbers, and we're offering some of them with 4-digit numbers. So technically, the 3-digit numbers were assigned to freight service, and the 4-digit numbers were assigned to passenger service. But doing my research, I actually found photographs of the number 777B unit on passenger trains.
Okay. So, right. So there's no steam equipment on the 777B unit, but 770 does have the steam equipment. Okay.
Yeah. So the units still retain their steam generator equipment. So it's not a stretch to say that they could have been seen on passenger trains in a pinch. And that includes early Amtrak. So Empire Builder, they had a Hiawatha's up there that these ran on as well.
Right.
Former Northern Pacific trains. These were common on those trains.
And our friend Harry Wong says that the BN hockey stick scheme was BN's passenger service paint scheme.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
That's true. That's true. But, like I said, photos of these things show them in freight service, in passenger service, you name it.
Good to know. So something to note, this first unit is an F9. And okay, so we're all doing F9s except for the F7B, which is 777 here.
Yeah, that one is different than the others. It's an F7.
Okay. Okay. So one single A unit and then 2 AB sets.
AB sets. And I picked road numbers on the AB sets that I actually had photographs of those pairs together.
Oh, good.
I don't know much about how they were assigned. I'm not a BN expert like some of you guys, but I can tell you that if there's a photo of them together, that's good enough for me. So,
all right.
Yeah, I picked up the 9822 and 9745 set for my Empire Builder. I'll use those as power for that.
Okay.
So that's BN.
And follow up from Harry that once Amtrak purchased what they needed for power, these BN units were assigned to freight duty.
Yes.
So these could be used in freight service after Amtrak service.
Yes.
All right. Cool. New York Central.
New York Central is a one we've done before, but not in this paint scheme. This is what's called the Cigar band scheme. It was New York Central's last paint scheme before the Penn Central merger. It was fairly simplified over the lightning stripe, basically just solid black with the cigar band on the nose with the herald on the nose. But as you can see here, there was a variation in it. The first version had small road numbers underneath New York Central, and the other version had the large numbers at the rear of the unit. And we're offering them both.
And it looks like the New York Central name was enlarged a little bit too.
Yes, it was enlarged and it was centered there on the panels versus being towards the top.
Right.
And another variation on these units is that some of them have the passenger pilot and some of them have what's called the freight pilot. Even though they're all freight service units, New York Central ordered some with the passenger style pilot. I don't know why, but they did. So
could have been one of those things that they were short for power and they just called EMD and said, whatever you got, ship it.
Yeah. Another thing I want to point out with these is that you'll see we're offering an AA set as well as an AB set.
Oh, yeah. So here's the AA set, which is these item numbers right here.
Right.
19339 and 19539. Okay. And then the AB set are these units here. So we've shown the AB set.
Yes.
All right.
And NYC had way more A's than B's, and they did not run these in matched A, B, BA, or whatever sets. All of them had nose MU equipment, and so they were more often run in A's, or AB's, A's, or whatever you can think of. They were all mixed up.
Sure. That's really good to know because we show the MU hatch here on the door, and that is on the model.
So, yeah, definitely.
Very nice.
Yeah, pretty attractive scheme at the end of the day. Maybe not quite as much as the lightning stripe, but still not bad.
Right. Pretty basic, but hey, when it's a freight locomotive, that's all you need, right?
It gets the job done, right?
Right. There's your Penn Central.
There's the Penn Central.
Somebody asked for Penn Centrals a second ago.
Yeah.
Anthony, there you go.
Penn Central, there you go. These two are former New York Central units, which makes sense for us to produce them at the same time. Basically, it makes it easier on the factory when they don't have to change the molded parts around so much. They can kind of just do the same thing and paint it differently. So,
right.
Yeah. So 2 road numbers here, and they in typical Penn Central fashion, the decoration is all over the place on these. The 1684, you can see the cigar band patched out on the nose there with a slightly off shade of black. And the road number on that one is still in the New York Central style font at the rear of the unit. The 1773 is interesting because it has the red P on the nose, which was, as many of you know, the red P for Penn Central was not too common. It was pretty rare on the locomotives. And that one also has the Penn Central style font on the sides, which is quite a bit different than the NYC font.
Now, are you talking about the font on the side as the number font?
Yeah, the road number font. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Okay, I was going to say there's nothing on the sides of the locomotive.
No. Penn Central had a knack for the absolute minimum notion of ownership on their equipment. Just one logo on the nose is all you get.
So I see these are prime for grime units. So this is going to be an off black sort of color, right?
Yeah, not only is it an off black, but it's an off black for the patch where the nose logo used to be on these.
Right.
And so, yeah, prime for grime. The in-service units were filthy and faded. And we've given you guys a head start with these prime for grime units.
Very nice. All right. Southern Pacific. Who here likes Southern Pacific? So we've done, so this is a quote unquote Halloween scheme, isn't it?
Yes, this is what's called the Halloween scheme. But there were quite a few variations to the Halloween scheme.
Right. And I was going to say, we've done this before, but we've done a Halloween scheme before, but we haven't done this version of it, correct?
Correct. This version right here actually has the wings outline of the Black Widow scheme. But instead of painting it silver and orange, they just made it solid orange.
Okay.
There were only 2 road numbers that wore that version of the paint, and we're offering them both in this run.
Oh, really?
One of them was an F3, the 6152.
Yeah.
The other one was an F7.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So the F7 comes in an AB set.
The F7 comes in an AB set.
All right.
We have them paired up with some pretty standard run-of-the-mill DF6, DF7 Class B units. These were the general freight service F units on SP, and they were all mixed up and used pretty much everywhere.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know why there were no Halloween B units. That would have been cool, but there were no Halloween B units that I know of. So we mixed them with standard Black Widow B units.
So then would these be pretty much considered as delivered?
Yeah, the skirts being the main indication of that, the skirts having not been cut on these. Well, you know what? No, the 6152 has the skirts cut.
Oh, yeah, it does. It's chopped right there.
Yeah. I know the Halloween paint was a late 1950s, I want to say, paint scheme. It was, they were trying to cut down on painting costs and reduce the amount of colors they were using.
Okay.
So these are late 1950s service. Not all the skirts were cut at the same time. A lot of them kept their skirts for a while. So you would expect to see a variation there.
Good deal.
And then, of course, with the gyro lights on the upper light of A units, which will flash on your DCC and sound version, as well as the big hole light up there.
Okay, so on 6152, do the 2 white lights here, are those the gyro lights on these? Well, no, on the prototype, that whole assembly moves. So yes, that would be what that is.
Yeah, those are the gyro lights.
Okay, all right. And then down here, I guess the bottom unit's the gyro light?
No, that was a art oversight on that one. The top light on that one is also the gyro light.
Okay, so we've got to get that revised.
Yeah, I think Dave was talking about it. So top light on that one is the gyro light. But yeah, SP Halloween version 2. Version 1 that we did was sort of the more angled outline just on the nose. So
right. All right, so there's your SP, guys. Some Halloween units in July.
Yes. Just in time for Halloween, right?
Right. And Santa Fe, it looks like.
Santa Fe, yellow and silver.
Yep. So are these yellow war bonnet or yellow bonnet? What is the correct term here?
I've heard both. And when you say yellow bonnet, are you talking about the yellow and silver or the yellow and blue? I'm not sure. But basically, these are backed by popular request. We offered this scheme about 10 years ago, and they sold out like overnight. But not only that, we had some issues with the plating on them. The plating was coming off of the body, and we had quite a few returns. So what we did with this run is we actually have a really nice silver shiny paint finish on them, which has no chance of sorry, the cat just ran in. The paint on these isn't just going to flake off on you like the first run. So
right. Well, and I guess we should sort of clarify. So the old finish is a process called electroplating, and the Chinese version of the EPA at our factory, or in China, period, has made the electroplating process very complicated. And so I know that we have had some complaints on previous Santa Fe production units that plating changed. Well, due to the essence of price and efficiency, we had to make a change. So we have changed it to what we feel is still a very nice silver reflective finish on top of the traditional silver body that we have. So the mirror finish is not exactly the same, but it's still a very nice applicable finish for the quote unquote stainless steel, because stainless steel was never a true mirror finish. It was more of a polished look.
Right.
So
yeah, so that's a good description of how these are going to look. I also wanted to note on these Santa Fe units, they have a backup light, but actually on the Santa Fe, it was a red marker light, which was used when the engine was running light as basically a rear end device. And what we've done on that is we've replicated it so that you can control that light independently. You can turn it on and off no matter which direction you're going, which is especially helpful on the B units because you could be going forward or backwards with those.
Sure. That's good to know.
Yeah. So other things to point out, you'll see that these first two units have a silver underframe on them, whereas the AB set has sort of a faded black underframe.
So what's the reason for doing that?
I have no idea. It is all per prototype photos.
Okay.
Santa Fe had quite a few variations on these, especially with the nose art. But also the underframes weren't all painted the same at the same time. So there you go. Differences there.
Okay.
What else? All spark arresters on these, which was pretty much standard equipment for Santa Fe. These are all late in life versions, so the skirts are pretty much completely cut off. The roof overhangs are gone. And they have all the extra grab irons up on the sides of the nose of the A units as well. So
Awesome.
and I see someone asking for red and silver war bonnet with Tsunami too. Yeah, we'll think about that for the future. I think it's around time for another run. So.
Yep, and I've seen a bunch of comments for the blue units as well.
Yeah, can't have too many of those. But yeah, that just about does it for these Fs. It's a mixture of new and old schemes, but it's all stuff that we've been getting tons of requests for. So
Good deal. So those are the F units for the July packet. And as a friendly reminder, if it'll load, there it is. The orders are due at the end of the month. So get with your favorite retailer hobby shop and place your orders. So, all right, let's move on to another product here real quick. How about some F89F long runner flat cars?
sure.
So these were also announced at the end of July, end of June for the month of July. And in Genesis, it's a 2-car set, and that's how they were drawbarred together. So it was technically one road number. And so whenever you order an item number, you will get the 2 cars with it. But then also we have this bundle that we have started that you get the 2 flat cars and 2 53-foot reefer trailers.
Yeah, that makes it really simple to model an intermodal train. You don't have to go and try and buy separate trailers. It already comes with the trailers. So. And you'll notice too, Matt, in the flat car and trailer sets, we have an exclusive Swift Veterans trailer, which is only available in those sets. Each set has one Veterans trailer, as well as one of the 4 paint schemes that you see down below it there.
Okay, and it tells you which item number. So the frozen food express is included with G68893.
Yes. I do want to point out too that all those trailer road names I have personally seen writing on flat cars. We try to pick trailers that are useful for people to load on flat cars. Sometimes the trucking company trailers, you don't see them in intermodal service, but these you do.
Okay, and it looks like 3 of them are coming with the wind deflectors on the bottom.
Yeah, those etched wind deflectors are really nice.
Awesome.
I don't know anyone else that's making those. So
I haven't seen any myself, I don't think. So good deal. So we brought up the long runner flat cars because also for a new product announcement, quasi new product announcement this month, N-Scale. This is the first time that we have offered the long runner in N-Scale. So I've seen some N-Scale guys beckoning in the comments. Here's some N-Scale product that has not been released before. So seeing as how we don't have a 53-foot trailer in N-Scale yet, these are only just the pair of long runner flat cars. So here you go, N-Scale guys, have at them.
These do have extra hitches, so you could carry 28-foots on these as well. So we do offer an N-Scale 28-foot trailer, which would fit on these. We'll have to announce some of those soon.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, generally just a flat car with trailer train logos on them and yellow trailer train paint. So
Yeah.
N-Scale guys, have at them.
There you go. It's a solid metal body on that N-Scale car, so it does have some decent weight to it. You can run them empty pretty safely.
Good note, Janek. These are molded in the zinc alloy material, so they are metal. So, all right. So that sort of wraps up what we were going to talk about more this week with items in the July packet. But I did want to quickly show Yellow Santa showed up about 10 minutes before the broadcast started, you guys. And look what he brought me.
Ooh. That
These
looks
are
like the Athearn Genesis B&O bay window caboose to me.
that would be a Genesis C26 bay window caboose, Janek.
Ah, okay.
So these are the first production samples of a few of them. I have more coming. Here's another C26.
That's the safety scheme, the green one.
Right.
Cool.
So this, I'm briefly looked at these before we got started, and tooling updates look pretty good. I think if it'll focus, the oil fill pipe is now on the C26 classic cabooses. And then a couple of roof details have been added into the tooling, the little vents on the end panels.
Nice.
So as soon as we get the production samples in and I've reviewed them and approved them, they will ship and be here within a month. So as long as everything goes well, I would expect them in August. I know that there's been a lot of guys wondering where these are. And here they are. Here's Santa Fe. I've seen Matt Martin jumping around in the comments. So here you go, Matt.
So you're going to take some photos of these for us, and hopefully we can share them soon, right?
Yeah, I'll get some photo shot of them and get them to somebody to get up on our social media sites. I was trying to edit the live post a week ago, and all the back end of Facebook changed, so I'll have to get it to somebody else. So Matt is asking if these samples have sound. They should have sound. Yeah, so I'll show some of that off. And then here's UP.
Ooh.
We got a fair amount of comments on the UP, and some of the revisions were the safety slogans on the early cars were actually printed in green when they were new. They just weathered and faded and got dirty and everything like that, and looked like they became black in the photos. So, but these had some fairly significant tooling updates and everything like that. We had some roofing pattern changes on them. Had some end details added to them, and then like the artwork changes and the color updates and that type of stuff. So look for some photos of these guys soon.
Yeah, I know you guys spent a lot of time working on those slogans to get them right. So.
Yep. So, okay.
Joel Ashcroft working marker lights on the UP. Absolutely, right?
Wait, Joel. Sorry, Greg. I keep hitting yours. There. Working marker lights on the UP. So this one didn't have marker lights on it. But the late, quote unquote, late CA8s where they were updated with vinyl slogans and cupola marker lights, those will be operating. So.
Okay. I didn't realize that it was only on certain ones.
Right. So, okay. How about we start doing the Q&A section, everybody's favorite. And where are we rail fanning at today? Kearney, Nebraska. Kearney, I think it's Kearney.
Yeah, while we were waiting to start, we saw an SD40-2 going by on that close track there.
Yep.
Probably about 40 miles an hour, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was racing west back towards North Platte, so I would imagine it was the local. So he either had some more jobs to do or he was on his way back to the yard. So, Okay. What do we got here? Gary, looking forward to the UPCA cabooses. Yes, we are. Thank you. There is our weekly reminder for California cars, Janek.
Man, you gotta think, how many requests can we get for something before we just throw up our hands and say, all right.
Yeah, it's been interesting because there's a lot of comments that are showing up here that, hey, we're actually working on them. So good. I think we're on the right track. Let's see. Okay, Matt, so you are correct. We normally do have an announcement at the NMRA National Train Show. And we were planning on a large announcement at the National Train Show in August. And we are still planning on a very large announcement for the month of August. It just will sort of roll into our regular announcement packet, but we will definitely go over them. I would imagine probably on the first Tuesday or maybe even the Friday that the packet goes live. And we'll probably only talk about those because there's just so much to cover.
Oh, we could be here for hours on those. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we do have an announcement for the month of August, brand new product announcement. And yeah, but to note, it will not be announced at the Train World virtual National Train Show event. We're just not totally ready. I'm still holding out to have all of the material ready for the announcement at the end of July. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes.
All right.
Let's see.
I got one I want to answer. Joel Ashcroft at 2:10 p.m.
Joel Ashcroft.
ICG GP3-2, will these have the Oscitrol lights on the Genesis model, or was that not an option on the former GMO units? That was not on the former GMO units. So these will not have Oscitrol lights, they just have headlights. But that being said, we'd like to look into tooling up that part to do the ICG proper down the road. So.
James Costello is asking about the N-Scale F89 long runners, if they will have the bulged end as well. And yes, they will. I think that was what made them the quote unquote long runner. But they will have that bulge in between the two units.
Yeah, I think that was so the trailer could swing around curves and the bogie would not get caught on the side rails of the flat car. So,
that's good to know.
I think. I've never actually seen it, but that's
right.
what I'm. Oh, let's see.
That's a good one. Having a hard time finding Athearn yard tractors. We need to. When was the last time we ran yard tractors, Janek? It's been quite a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. No, we've got some lined up later this year, actually.
Okay.
But, Harry, if you're looking for anything specific, let us know. But we're probably thinking about doing some of the generic, plain yellow or safety stripes or plain white ones. Those seem to be the most popular because you can just decal them up for whatever you want. So.
Right. Those CSX 911, 1776, 3194, and CN GEVOs. Those are CSX GEVOs, tier 3s. And I will just sort of stick to my standard response. We have a lot of GEs coming. So just keep your eyes on the announcements. I'm excited about what we've got in the works. So, Utah Railway SD40 rerun or possible Genesis GP38-2 rerun. So the SD40, we have an announcement slated towards the end of the year for another run of SD40. So keep your eyes on that. And then this month, we actually have announced Genesis GP38-2s. So check out the new arrivals and announcements section on the Athearn website. And here you go. We talked about them last week. TPW, Mopac, CN, Suline, UP, RCL, Service UP, U.S. Heritage, Canadian Pacific units, ICG. Yeah, so check out our announcements and our video from last week.
And Utah Railroad, we will look into as a possible future announcement.
Please no, because then I'll go broke that month. Are they filling previous orders or do I need to call again? Rusted Rail, I'm not sure who you are, number one. But if you're talking about our parts department, they are back in the office. They are back fulfilling parts orders and requests. So either send them another email at parts@athearn.com or give them a call. Alex should be available to help you and get you what you need.
Ramsey BT is asking for more gas delivered CP rail, GP38-2 and multi-mark CP system and Golden Beaver. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that he's wanting the G&D units.
I would say that's true.
And yeah, we need to do more of those. I know they sold out fairly quickly, and I think we should do another run pretty soon. So you hear you there.
We need to get with our constituents up across the border and see what we can come up with to make sure that we get them right this time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not that they weren't right, but to just have a flawless release with them this time. So
yeah, I know we made a lot of improvements on those, but there's still a little bit more we could do with the artwork, I'm sure. So
right. Noah McAllister, long overdue weekly reminder for some patched CSX Jeep 40-2s. Okay. Well, there's our reminder.
I don't know when we got the 40-2s up again, but I would like to see those as well. So Miguel Chavez asked me a question about Metrolink Engines. Miguel, buddy, I'm looking into that right now. So I don't think I can post a link here, but I can give you an SKU number or something to look for. So hang on. I did not do Metrolink. But I did.
You're looking for the F59 PHIs, aren't you?
Yeah, so last run was in 2016. And
Okay.
the SKU numbers for, I'll give you the non-sound, 66688. No, sorry, 6688 through 6691. So look those up.
We've got a production run coming, though, don't we?
We do. I thought we were doing Metrolink that time around, but I was mistaken.
Oh, okay.
We did not offer Metrolink. Look.
Kitty. Let's see. Ben Martin, curious about the Highliner's F unit nose. Would it be possible to adapt that to an E unit, or would your agreement with them to use their mold notwithstand that? That license agreement is over. So the molds are ours now. Not that they weren't ours, but the royalties and such, I think, have ended. So we could technically do what we wanted with those molds and everything. And the way the tooling is, no, we could not put a mold together with the nose of the F unit and then a body of an E unit. It would require a totally new mold to do an E-unit. But the good news is that we have those molds. We can make accurate drawings off of those molds if we
Right.
decide to do an E-unit.
Right.
So just something to keep in mind should an E-unit be on our list. So
there you go.
Harry, the cupola on the CA8, I will definitely get some photos of that to show it. I believe it's better than it was, but there's also some issues that I have that I think some people are potentially not going to be happy with it. But in the research and the photos that I did and in talking with my engineers, our drawings are accurate to the different widths that we have from the UP caboose book. And in looking at the photos, the caboose cupola does extend over the sides of the body ever so slightly. It's just the width of those plates of steel. So for the cupola to be a little bit wider than the body is not wrong. But do we have it maybe a little too exaggerated? Possibly. I'll just have to see what I can do on the review and go from there. So.
Okay. I mean, sometimes those things, which they're a certain way in real life, and then you try and scale them down, and they just don't look right. They just don't scale well, for whatever reason. So that could be one of those things.
And also sometimes just doing it in plastic, it shows up shadows and paint and parting lines and fit and finish and that type of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. And like you said, just scaling it down sometimes. So Daniel Archer, chop nose MKT GP7s in Genesis. So is there anything special about those chop noses, or are they just, I mean, do they have like a special cab on them? Is the chop nose a different height than everything else?
I'll have to look into it. It might be a case of we've got most of it, but I'll have to look into it. I'm not sure on those because I do believe they were home built, and it sort of depends on what they did with the number boards and the front of the cab, if we could do it correctly or not. So.
Good deal. All Ohio Rail fan would like to see the CSX CM44AH rebuilds, but start with Roundhouse first and upgrade it to Genesis at a later time to keep some beginner level products out there. Noted. Suggestion. Yeah, suggestion taken. We could put it out in the RTR Roundhouse line right away. Of course, knowing that it's not going to suit everybody because it's not 100% accurate, but that's not what the Roundhouse line is meant to be. The Roundhouse line is meant to be an entry point and just a good, solid starting platform. And then the Genesis iteration would be a definite good addition to the Genesis line. And again, keep your eyes on future announcements because we've got a lot of GEs coming. Let's see. Daniel, have you been talking to Hans Gruber over there in Cincinnati? I think you have been. This sort of goes back to the CSX AC 4400 rebuilds. It would be good to possibly start them on the Roundhouse old blue box body and add them to the Genesis line a little bit later. So,
yeah,
good idea. What else we got going on here?
I got a couple people. Yeah, I saw that one. Penn Central choppers. I was looking at photos of those while I was doing the GP7s, and they're pretty cool. But again, I got to look into the nose and the cab because we're kind of limited to what we can do without new tooling. So I got to look into that one.
Right.
There's been a few people asking for the rotary snowplow again with the F7B unit, which, I mean, it's kind of an interesting model. It's not something that everybody needs, but it's a cool model. So maybe we could do another run of those.
Yeah. When was the last time we did those? I know it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been at least a couple of years on those. So I don't know, maybe figure out a way to put a basic sound decoder in there and give it some sounds. That would be cool.
Yeah. Well, that was something that we sort of looked at, and the frame on those is actually stamped. It's not molded.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have to look into some additions and refinements to that if we could do like a sound option or not.
Yeah.
Or to make it sound ready at the very least.
Right. Speaker mounts and all that would be cool.
Right. Kyle, any idea when the pre-production samples of the Genesis P42 will be available for the Athearn Live Tuesdays? So I'm told at the end of this month, they're supposed to be shipping to me. I'm hoping for sooner, but again, unfortunately earlier in the year, the factory got delayed by about a month. So we're a little over a month behind on these things. So they are coming. I did check. So you just have to have a little more patience with us. And that reminds me, I got to find a kitchen scale or something to show the actual weight of the thing, because it's pretty incredible how much more weight we've got in it. So
you said it's close to the 90 Mac, right?
The SD60M is close to the 90 Mac. I haven't weighed the P42. The chassis is built similarly to the SDP40F, so I would hope that it's somewhere up around SD60M, SD90 Mac weight. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I hope so too, because as anyone who models Amtrak can tell you, those Amfleet cars and those Superliners don't roll worth a dang. So you need all the power that you can get into your two locomotives.
Right. SD24 units. Hey, I like that idea, especially paint them up in yellow. Put them in front of a few of these.
SD24Bs, maybe?
Maybe. Let's see.
Lenny Harlow's propane tank cars with the walkway on one side. Yes. I see those on the bar watt all the time. I would love to do those. So that's a good freight car for us to look into. Just got to find one when it's not moving and when nobody's standing around.
Family Lines SD40s. We'll have to put that on our list of ideas for the SD40 announcement later this year.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if those would be former L&N or SCL. I've got to look into that. So
probably SCLs.
Yeah.
I don't know. We could talk to the L&N Society and get their take on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's an interesting idea, because we have a fair amount of the parts, but I know that we would need a walkway in the plow, and then we'd have to figure out the lighting on the cab.
Yeah, those things have so many lights on them, it's not even funny.
Yeah, but if we could pull it off, man, it would be sweet.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And actually, because I think there's one or two over in Ohio somewhere, one or two former Alaska units. I have to see if Rob knows where they are.
Okay.
Because
yeah, they wound up on some short line railroad in the Midwest. and they
Yeah.
still have all the gadgets on them. So
Yeah, and I actually shot one in the middle of a train many years ago on the Henderson sub going south, probably for rebuilding or something like that. So, I mean, long before I worked for Athearn. So, what else we got here?
yeah, the CET. That's right, Matt.
What 5161 are you looking for, Dylan? What paint scheme? Ferromax? Okay.
Can't make enough of those things. We got a run coming in 2020. I think the hardest part of that is picking road names because there's so many good ones.
Right. Well, and we have some news actually coming about those for the next announcement as well. So actually pay attention to the next 5161 announcement. I got some interesting little details on those. So,
Yeah.
So Brian is asking for CNGMD GP38-2s. We'd have to look and see if we've got the correct parts. Knowing what we know now from the CP GP38-2s, we may not have the right parts to do them properly right away. And want to make sure that we get them right so that you don't have to complain too hard about them.
I know what it is on those, Matt. I can talk to you about it. Basically, it's going to be handrails for the most part. So
okay.
Ooh, an NW5, Bob Bombell. Yes, those are cool. You could do GN and then BN, and then I think like Mass Coastal and some of those weird railroads after that.
Really? Well, we are at about an hour, Janek, so let's maybe grab one or two more.
Okay.
And go from there. Huron and Eastern, Jeep 9, and Genesis. Short line that had a few of these locomotives in Michigan. Regionals like that can be, I mean, they're clearly a gamble, but sometimes we're pleasantly surprised. So something that we'd have to look into for sure, and really weigh our options with it. Something to look into. We'll keep that in mind, Eddie.
I don't know what those look like, but I'll look into it. There was a question about the N-scale big boys, Miguel Chavez. Yeah.
Right. So I'm currently working with Soundtracks to get the decoder built for the N-scale big boys, and the answer is yes. They will have sounds from the 4014 on these decoders, just like our HO scale big boy. So it will be correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Alexander, California cars have been mentioned. Ooh, Santa Fe Steam. I've seen a lot of comments for Santa Fe Steam. I still have some steam locomotive ideas that I would like to do. And Santa Fe is definitely closer to the top of the list, definitely top 5.
There's no meat on those bones there.
It's
some
just one of
really common units that haven't been done in plastic.
right. So just, again, it comes down to time and where my development schedule really lies. So I'm not saying no, but I've got some other things I'm working on before I get to some steam locomotive developments. So, well, I think that's where we're going to call it today, guys. Unfortunately, the UP didn't play very nice and send us any trains during the live broadcast, but
yeah,
that's what happens.
They must have found out that we'd be doing this. And they stopped.
I guess so. So thanks everyone for joining us. We will definitely try to see you all next Tuesday. We'll get some photos up of these cabooses I've received and go from there. So everyone have a good afternoon, evening, good rest of the week. Stay safe, wash your hands, and enjoy the modeling.
All right, guys, take care. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks a lot.